Let me ask you this. Have you ever been so tired, so overwhelmed, so disappointed that quitting felt like the only option? Of course, you have. We all have. But listen closely, it's not in those calm, easy moments that your life is built. It's in the fire. Every person you admire, every business you respect, every champion you see on the podium, they all had that moment. The moment where they stood at the edge and said, I can't do this anymore. And you know what separated them from everyone else? They forced themselves to take one more step. They didn't feel like it. They weren't ready. They were scared, broke, tired, rejected, but they kept going. And that's why I want you to stay with me. Because I'm not here to motivate you. I'm here to prepare you for that breaking point. Because when that moment comes, you must be stronger than your feelings. And I'll show you how. Discomfort is the path to growth. It's not just a phrase, it's the fundamental truth behind every story of transformation, achievement, and breakthrough. Most people run from discomfort. The moment something feels too hard, too uncertain, too painful, they begin to retreat. But what they don't realize is that they're running from the very experience that has the power to change them. Growth does not happen when you're at ease. It happens when your back is against the wall, when your mind is screaming to stop, and yet you keep going. That moment when you want to give up, when your heart is heavy, when your body is tired, that's where the difference is made. Because discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's a test. It's the world asking you, how badly do you want it? Every champion, every visionary, every success story you've heard, they've all passed through this same fire. The fire of failure, of rejection, of exhaustion. And yet, they kept going not because they enjoyed the pain, but because they understood that pain was a part of the process. They saw discomfort not as a wall, but as a doorway. The ones who make it are not necessarily more talented or lucky. They're simply the ones who learn to live inside that discomfort and keep moving. Because they knew something powerful, that pain is temporary, but quitting makes it permanent. The discomfort you feel today will pass, but the regret of quitting will stay with you. You have to stop believing that growth will ever feel good in the moment. It won't. You will be misunderstood. You will be doubted. You will feel like a fool. But that's exactly why it works, because most people can't handle that. Most people will trade their dreams for a little comfort. But not you. Not if you want to rise above. Not if you want to leave a legacy. You have to learn to get excited when it gets hard, because that means you're in the right place. You're stretching. You're learning. You're transforming. Every moment you feel like quitting but choose not to, you are expanding your limits. You're rewriting the story of who you are. That's the secret they never told you. The growth you want is always hiding in the place you're avoiding. So don't avoid the hard days. Don't avoid the struggle. Step into it. Own it. Force yourself forward through the chaos. Because on the other side of discomfort is everything you've ever wanted. Winners don't have more motivation, they have more discipline. That's one of the biggest lies we've been sold. That successful people are somehow always fired up, always excited, always ready. It's not true. The people who win, who build empires, who transform their lives, they often feel the same hesitation, the same fear, the same resistance that you do. The only difference is they don't let it control them. They don't wait for motivation to come and rescue them. They show up when it's boring. They act when they're tired. They move when it would be easier to make excuses. That's the edge. That's where success begins, not in the bursts of energy, but in the quiet consistency of discipline. The problem with relying on motivation is that it's a feeling, and feelings change. One day you feel strong, the next day you don't. One morning you wake up inspired, and the next you can't even get out of bed. If your actions depend on your mood, your life will always be unstable. But discipline is different. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel, I made a decision, and I honor it. That's real power. That's what builds momentum. That's what makes progress inevitable. You see, most people start with excitement. They set goals, make plans, talk big. But the second it gets hard, the second the emotional high fades, they stop. Winners are different. They understand that how you feel cannot be trusted when pressure shows up. So they build systems. They follow routines. They create habits that carry them through the days when they feel like quitting. They force themselves forward not because they feel like it, but because they decided a long time ago that quitting was not an option. This kind of discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. It's about showing up even when you're broken, even when the results are slow, even when no one's watching. It's the ability to tell yourself, I made a promise to my future, and I will keep it no matter what today throws at me. That's how you win. That's how you build confidence, not by waiting to feel ready, but by acting through the resistance and proving to yourself that you're stronger than your excuses. The truth is, success is not reserved for the most talented, it belongs to the most disciplined. The ones who keep going, the ones who force themselves out of bed, into the gym, into the office, into the fight again and again. Because while motivation comes and goes, discipline builds empires. Your future self is watching, not in some vague, imaginary way, but in a very real, measurable sense. Every action you take today becomes the foundation for the life you will live tomorrow. Every time you push through a quitting moment, every time you force yourself to keep going when it's hard, you are making a deposit into the future version of yourself. And the reverse is also true. Every time you quit, every time you break a promise to yourself, every time you give in to weakness, you are shaping a version of you that is further from the life you say you want. It's not just about what you do today. It's about who you are becoming through what you choose today. Most people live disconnected from their future. They think in minutes, not in years. They make decisions based on comfort now, not consequences later. But if you could sit down with the strongest, happiest, most successful version of yourself, the one you dream of being, what do you think they'd say to you? They'd say, thank you for not quitting. Thank you for showing up when it was tough. Thank you for making the hard choice when no one was watching. Because the truth is, that person only exists if you build them. They're not waiting for you at the finish line. They are built brick by brick, choice by choice, day after day. We all want the rewards, the peace, the pride, the freedom, the success. But we forget that those rewards are not found in one big heroic act. They are earned in the small, painful moments. The moments when no one else is around. The moments when it would be so easy to stop. The moments when your emotions say give up, but your vision whispers keep going. Your future self is counting on you to choose the vision. Think of I don't feel like it as a test. A test to prove whether you're building a future of regret or a future of pride. Are you going to hand your future self the life of your dreams or the excuse of your present? Are you going to make them stronger, wealthier, wiser, or are you going to leave them with the burden of your short-term decisions? One day, you'll look back at this exact season of your life. The challenges, the pain, the resistance, and you'll either say, that's when I rose up, or you'll say, that's when I gave in. The choice is always yours. Just remember, the future is not something you walk into. It's something you create. Quitting is a habit, so is pushing through. What you do when things get tough doesn't just affect your progress today, it becomes a pattern. It becomes a default response that your mind and body will follow the next time things get uncomfortable. Every time you quit, it doesn't just stop your momentum, it sends a message to yourself. This is what we do when it gets hard. And the mind listens. It learns, it remembers. So the next time a challenge shows up, it gets easier to back down, easier to justify quitting, easier to believe the lie that you're not capable. That's how habits are built through repetition. And quitting, if repeated, becomes your identity. You no longer just feel like giving up. You become someone who gives up. But the same is true on the other side. When you push through once, it's hard. When you push through again, it's still hard but not unfamiliar. Each time you choose to keep going, even just one step further, you're rewriting your mental code. You're training your mind to believe, this is who I am, I don't quit. And over time, that becomes automatic. That becomes who you are, not just what you do. You begin to see yourself differently. You trust yourself more. Your standards change. Your limits stretch. The habit of persistence becomes your new baseline. We often think success is about one massive decision, one big break, one moment of glory. It's not. It's about hundreds of small moments where you had every reason to stop but didn't. It's those quiet, private battles that shape your destiny. When you choose to push through tired, doubting, angry, afraid, that's where your future is being written. And it gets easier every time. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. Your will gets sharper. Your resilience grows thicker. You begin to respect your own fight. You have to understand that quitting feels good in the moment, but it always steals from your future. It gives you short-term relief and long-term pain. Pushing through, on the other hand, often feels brutal in the moment, but it gives you long-term strength, pride, and results. This is why you must catch yourself when you feel the urge to stop. Pause. Breathe. Recognize that this is not just about now. This is about building who you are. Every time you break through a quitting moment, even just once, you prove something powerful, that your future is still in your hands. So the next time you feel the urge to give up, remember it's not just a choice. It's a habit being born. Choose strength. Choose to push again and again until it becomes who you are. Force beats feeling. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. We've been raised to believe that we should wait until we're ready, until we feel inspired, until the timing is right. But life doesn't reward those who wait for perfect conditions. It rewards those who act in spite of them. The moment you stop relying on how you feel and start acting based on what you decided, that's the moment everything changes. Because feelings are unstable. They shift with your mood, your sleep, your environment, your stress. If you allow your actions to be dictated by how you feel, your progress will always be inconsistent and fragile. But when you force yourself to move, even when every part of you wants to stop, you unlock something powerful: control. You gain control over your energy, your effort, and your future. That's what high performers understand. They don't let their emotions run the show. They get up when they're tired. They keep going when they're discouraged. They take action when it's inconvenient. Why? Because they've trained themselves to move through force, not feeling. And over time, what once required force becomes natural. Discipline replaces hesitation. Momentum replaces resistance. The act of forcing becomes the seed of strength. This is not about being robotic or emotionless. It's about refusing to be a prisoner to temporary feelings. Because most of the time, you won't feel like doing what you need to do. You won't feel like pushing harder, waking up early, having the difficult conversation, or chasing the uncomfortable goal. That's why force is necessary. You don't negotiate with your emotions, you override them. You say, This is what I said I would do, and I will do it no matter how I feel. That single mindset shift separates the ones who talk about success from the ones who actually achieve it. Think about it. The greatest accomplishments in your life didn't happen because you felt great every day. They happened because you took action, even when you didn't want to. The workout you didn't skip, the deadline you met under pressure, the difficult task you completed without motivation, those moments prove what you're truly capable of. That's the power of force. It builds trust in yourself. It tells your mind, we don't back down. We don't quit. We act. The more you practice forcing yourself to act through resistance, the less power your feelings will have over your life. You become the kind of person who finishes what they start. Who shows up? Who delivers? Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Because you chose strength over softness. Action over excuses. That's where transformation lives. Not in the feeling, but in the force. So here it is, the truth that separates the average from the exceptional. Your life will not change when it feels right. It will change when you decide to take action, regardless of how you feel. You will never rise by waiting. You rise by forcing yourself forward when everything in you says, stop. That moment right there is where your future is built. Not someday. Not when you're inspired. Not when things are easy. But now, in the pain, in the pressure, in the silence. Because every time you don't quit, every time you fight through that resistance, you're not just moving forward, you're becoming someone new. Stronger, sharper, hungrier. You are writing a story you'll be proud to tell. You are building a life no one can take from you. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to be comfortable. And stop waiting for someone to push you. Be your own force. Act without permission. Move without motivation. Show up because that's what winners do. When your back is against the wall, when you're tired, when you failed, when no one believes in you, force yourself to take one more step, then another, and another, because that's how legends are made. This is your moment. This is your fight. And quitting, it's not in your story.